All right, well listen, today we're going to talk about the system, the synergy format system. And we're going to kind of talk about psychology. We're going to go in as maybe some different angles on it. Yesterday I made the case as to why Synergy Financial Partners will be the next dominant player here. I'm going to make the case of why you ought to run the system. And even though those of you who are committed to it already, I'm going to make sure we commit you even deeper into the system, because you can always get better at it, right? I know I can. You can always be refined. Matter of fact, sometimes people can be just a few little carburetor adjustments away from an absolute explosion. It might be just one little thing you're doing wrong. It's like a golf swing. Paul Carey's a great golfer. But if I went in and I just messed his grip up by 1/4 of an inch, would it affect your swing? Tremendously, okay? If I went and bent his clubs a little bit, just a little bit, a few degrees off here or there, we could mess them up, couldn't we? All right, same thing in the system. You could be off just a little bit, and it'll be an absolute tragedy. So we're going to talk to you today about kind of the psychology of the system. What's the mental thinking behind this? And there'll be a lot of slides. You'll be shocked. We're going to do this 106 slides in about 45 to 50 minutes. Trust me. Here we go. All right? So let's talk real quick about the key to our business is outlets, okay? And we'll talk about the importance of outlets. Now, one of my favorite examples of outlets is this. You guys have heard of the Cola Wars? You know, Coke and Pepsi battling it out for that #1 slot. Usually it's Coke, but there's been some years Pepsi snuck up, and they just battle it out. Matter of fact, there's been a book written about it. There's a movie that's been done about it. Who are Coke fans in the room? God, you're quiet. Who are Pepsi fans? They're always a little louder because they're younger. Who doesn't care? It's like, hey, whatever you got. I think it comes from the same place. What do you care? No, I don't know. Okay, yeah, whatever's on sale, I like that. It's pretty good. Going to the restaurant, I don't care. Some people actually pick restaurants based on which cola they serve. That's pretty dramatic. But anyway, we'll get away from that one. But it's been a battle. But did you guys know, and if you heard this example before, please, some of you guys might have heard it in our past company, but there's one cola that in the vast majority of all the taste tests always comes out on top in blind taste tests. It's always being the best tasting cola out there. Let's look and see who it is. The winner is RC Cola, the Tennessee Volunteers of colas. Good quality program. Just haven't been in the top rankings in a long time, okay? And Jeff wasn't even in the room, I don't think. Did Jeff leave? Oh, I see your orange shirt. Okay, I just had to mess with Jeff a little bit. There you go. But let's say now we had a contest. Let's say we sent Kevin off to go get an RC, Paul off to get a Coke. Whoever comes back first wins. Who's going to win? Why is Paul going to win? Where does he have to go? There's a vending machine somewhere in this hotel, right? Now, where does poor Kevin got to go? He's got to get in his car, leave the islands, find the grocery store, find the soft drink aisle. You'll see, you look at Coke, by the way. It's like, go next time you do the grocery store, if you guys ever go shopping, walk in and do this. It's kind of funny. You'll see Coke, you'll see Pepsi. Find RC, and it's there. It really is a promise about this wide. Remember, that's the best tasting cola. Why are they not #1? Distribution. No, it's not even, it's just, you can't find them. They're not available. If there was RC machines everywhere, and the grocery store, do they sell more? Absolutely. I don't know why they haven't figured this out yet. I mean, I'd have a contest. Blind taste, we're the best. We're putting out more machines. Let's go. Lack of leadership, I guess. So the key to our business is outlets. Okay, the team with the most outlets makes the most money, period. Some of you guys have been talking with on the phone since I got here working with Synergy. That's all I've been talking to you about, right? Most outlets, most business, it just wins. The company with the most outlets will have the most clients. They'll dominate the industry. They'll help the most people. There's also a crusade here as well. Now, powerful quote from Michael Gerber, E-Myth. It has been said, and I would be able to be true, that great businesses are not built by extraordinary people, but by ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Now, when I first heard that, I was like, that's kind of cool, because I figure myself, I'm not extraordinary. I just figure I'm pretty ordinary. But they go on to say, but for ordinary, let's go back. For ordinary people to do extraordinary things, a system, a way of doing things is needed to compensate for disparity, to compensate between the skills your people have and the skills they need to produce the results. Who in here never was in financial services prior to coming to Synergy? Most people, okay? And the ones that were in already, we had to reteach them. They're even tougher, okay? Because they got the old way of thinking, okay? But you have to have a system. You got to follow that system. McDonald's is one of the best examples ever. This is the first McDonald's ever back in San Bernardino, California. Ray Kroc went in, saw they basically had this machine. I mean, people were just lining up. They were walking out with shakes, french fries, hamburgers by the bag. And of course, we know that story. They went on to become a huge success. They were the #1 restaurant in terms of sales and distribution until who beat them recently? Subway. Subway came along with their 40,000. Actually, they're kicking McDonald's pretty hard right now. But McDonald's started a revolution. Their model remains the model that a whole generation of entrepreneurs have used to go out there and build a turnkey franchise. Their system gives a franchisee not just with a name, but with an entire system of doing business. The system they have is so powerful, it became one of the largest restaurant chains in the world. Thousands of franchisees became absolutely rich because there's never been any McDonald's that's failed to make money. Let me pause there for a minute. If none of them have ever failed to make money, have there been people who have bought McDonald's franchises that never wanted to get in the restaurant business? A lot of them. They wanted to put their time and effort into something that was going to work. Same thing here. I promise you, in the 29 years I've been doing this, we've had lots of people, myself included, that never wanted to get into financial services, but did so. Why? We had a system that works. Who in here, when you grew up, played insurance salesman? Oh, God, I knew you were something off with you. Okay. All right, well, there's one. We grew up playing fireman and policeman and all that kind of stuff. We didn't play insurance salesman, but why are you here? Because we have a system that works. Okay? All the franchisee needs to do is run the system. The system runs their business. They make money. It doesn't require a talent, just abilities that were easily learned and developed as part of that system. So you go to McDonald's, you order a hamburger. What does the cashier have to do? They push a picture of a hamburger. It's not even, doesn't even say it, it's just a picture. And they don't have to put the price in or that kind of stuff. If they order 2 hamburgers, what do? Push it twice. You guys are trained, you're ready to go. French fry chef. You put the French fries in, they're already in a pre-measured bag. You drop them in the oil, you hit the button. When the button goes off, what do? Take them out, you shake them, throw them in the thing. Salt, probably, yeah, there's probably some salt thing. They have a little, if you look at the top, they have pictures everywhere. If you ever get a chance, I had a friend of mine own a McDonald's, and they're real secretive about their manual. They have a manual, just like we do. And I remember looking through it, and one thing that just kind of caught me off guard was they had a section on inclement weather. And this is how turnkey this manual was. There was a section that says tornado, and it tells you step by step what to do. You know, lock the doors, turn off the gas main. And then there's a picture of a tornado in case you've never seen one. Okay? Because he wanted to make the system idiot-proof. He really did. Everything they do is idiot-proof. I've eaten, you probably think this is really weird, but I've eaten in McDonald's now, I think, in about 18 different countries. Okay? And it tastes just as bad in those countries as it does here. I mean, but it's the exact same result. It tastes exactly the same. Those floor tiles are exactly the same wherever you go, except for Italy. The one in Rome is a little more fancy. They have columns and that kind of stuff. It's actually the largest McDonald's in the world, which is kind of cool. Now, they make some small changes. In Germany, McDonald's serves beer. In Italy, they serve wine, because that's Europeans drink beer like we drink Coke. You know, it's just kind of the way it is. But understand, they have a system, and the system works, and it's turnkey every single time. The McDonald's model was constructed so the entire business system can be replicated over and over again, with each franchise working as reliably and as profitably as the ones that preceded it. Wouldn't you like to have that in your business? Where every time you open a new outlet or a new leader comes on board or a new office in a different location, they can go out the exact same results you're having in your local office. That's what the system allows you to go do. Okay, so let's dig in now. We have our system. We have our manual. I love what Jeff said last night. Don't just read it once and think, okay, I got this. Study it, immerse it, memorize it. Someone should be able to say, hey, step 2 in this section, what exactly does it say to do? And you should just be able to go, bam, got it. Sometimes when someone's giving a system thing, I did this for years. I'd carry my manual with me, and if someone spoke on the system and they're in a certain step, I'd go to that step in my pit, I'd write notes in the margin, because there's stories that help me, kind of focus more on a point and get some great things I can go back and study from later. Don't just read it, study it. This system in financial services has been responsible for recruiting millions of people, most who never want to get into financial services, responsible for billions of dollars in commissions. It allows you to go out there and leverage your time to multiply your efforts in earning. And again, you get to go out there and duplicate yourself so the 1,000th leader is as good as the first. No other business does that. I love what Tom says about he's been very successful before he got here, but he couldn't duplicate that success with other people. He can duplicate himself here, which is fantastic. You duplicate yourself in the system with your leaders to build a giant distribution system. You can have a continuing opening of new outlets. It's a continual process. And you can realize geometric growth, which we'll talk about a little bit later. You're running a leadership factory. I mean, we're in financial services, but if I ask you, we run a leadership factory. If you run an automobile factory, what are you making? If you run a TV factory, what are you making? If you're running a leadership factory, what are you making? All right, so we have raw material comes in, that's prospects come in the factory. As they go through the 6 steps and the filters we have, they come out as leaders in the backside. Now, a cool thing about our system is we have a byproduct of this system. What's the byproduct? Clients, okay? Internal and external consumption. Clients come. Those leaders are going to buy our program because they want a better plan for the future. Those that don't want to get involved in the business, they also want a better plan for the future. So by focusing on building leaders, you'll make more sales than you ever dreamed of. I told you guys yesterday I was number 1 in personal production, number 1 in base shop production at the first 6-month meeting in WMA. I didn't focus on sales. I ran a factory. And I outproduced every producer that was there because I wasn't focusing on production. Isn't that kind of cool? Okay, and that's what happens with the system. So what you want to do is you want to go out there and build a leadership factory. You're working on your business, not actually on doing business. Some of you guys are out there trying to do business. Don't do that. You're building a business. Work on building that business, and then build a prototype, your little local operation. Like, Frank, you're in Miami. Your prototype is what you want to duplicate, so as guys across Florida and throughout the Southeast come in and see what you're doing, they can go back to their local town and replicate that. Or even in your own town. You eventually want to have like 35 offices in Miami, all running exactly the same. So you'll build your prototype, your factory, okay, where you have the leaders coming in, they're doing their thing, and then as you duplicate that, they'll see what you're doing, they go back out, they duplicate, they build their factories, their leaders then go in and duplicate and build their factories, and what happens? You're building a massive distribution team. I love this picture because it's just like, I can see how it starts to work. It starts to go. I like this. Okay, it's cool. So with everything you do, though, you got to keep in mind it must be implemented with easy, duplicatable steps that every associate can follow. And our blueprint is what? The manual. It's already done for you. You have to worry about creating it. It's already there. We just lost the screen again. They don't like me. All right. This is an Aston Martin race car. Don't know how much it costs. I'm sure it's 7 figures. Imagine if you bought one of these for your personal enjoyment. Don't let Patrick Kelly drive it, okay? It'd be a bad situation. But if you bought this car, and obviously some unbelievable engineers have gone in and they've designed it and they've made it perfect so it's aerodynamic, it hugs the curves, it's just got all the right performance, would you say, you know, this rear spoiler is really ugly. I think it's tacky. I'm taking that off. And this front thing, I don't know, the hood looks a little weird. I'm going to put a flatter hood on there. And the spark plugs, oh my gosh, the wires, they could look prettier if they were this way, and this way. Would you do that? No. Why? Because you'd turn a 7-figure investment into what? Piece of junk. It wouldn't handle as well, might even start. That'd be a shame, right? Same thing with our system. The system is like this beautifully engineered car. It's been time tested, road tested, wind tunnel. I mean, for years now, we know it works. You got to just follow it exactly. Don't start tweaking it to what fits your needs. Another great example of this, and I love this example, is the minefield. If you saw you're on this side of the fence, there's the minefield, and success is off on the horizon, who in here would feel a little bit trepidation about crossing this field? Only one of you, two? Come on now, it's a minefield. You could lose your life. Everyone would, okay? Now, Frank, would you feel a little bit better if you had a map that showed you where all the mines were? Still be a little scary, though, right? What if you had a guide who's been across that minefield several times, knows the way? How closely would you follow him or her? I had someone tell me I'd follow him pretty closely. I'm like, pretty closely? I mean, wouldn't you be right up like almost on their back if you could, but you'd be footstep for footstep, right? If all of a sudden they got down, there's a briar patch, there's some mud, you see them crawling in the mud to the briar patch under a tunnel of briars, would you say, look, I'm not getting all dirty, I'll meet you on the other side? No. Why? You don't want to get blown up, okay? Now, it seems obvious, but in the system, it's the exact same way. We say, you know, gosh, I don't like the way that is. I'll change it. I'll do it my way. And what happens? You get blown up in the business. All of a sudden, you don't have the same success you had. It might actually blow you out of the business. You say, well, nobody would mess with a minefield. That's a terrible example. Well, these people sure did. This couple's coming out of the minefield on the other side. This guy's taking a picture with, I wouldn't even do that, would you? I mean, people just resist instruction all the time. This guy's really clueless. I mean, I don't know. I just, when I see this picture, I think, it reminds me of some of our reps. Oh, I got this. I got a better way of doing it. I'm good. And there's something going on. These guys are dressed that way for a reason. He's posing for a selfie over there in his shorts. So, I don't know. Anyway, the key now is to imitate, not create. Okay? But not just imitate what you like. Do it exactly. With precision. I'll give you a good example. What was the purpose? If you've heard this example before, please don't butt in. Some of you guys that know Rich for years, this is one of his old ones, and I love it. What's the purpose of a submarine? What was it in World War II? Back before they had all these great little they could target torpedoes and infrared and sonar. Back then it was just you had to shoot and hopefully hit something. What was the purpose? Sink ships, I heard. Everyone kind of agreed, probably sink ships? No. The purpose of a submarine in World War II was to fire a torpedo accurately. You're like, what? Because let's look. We got a ship. Jeff put the money out to buy a ship for this example, so this is kind of fun. Let's say we fire the torpedo and we miss. Let's see what happens. Nothing, right? That wasn't very fun. So what's the purpose then of firing the torpedo accurately? To hit the ship? Okay, or sink? No. It's to create an explosion near the hull of the enemy ship. Because what happens if the torpedo hits and doesn't go off? Let's see. Nothing. Okay? So you said it's got to hit, right? All right. Is hitting going to do it? Because if it does, no. So what's the purpose of? It's to create an explosion, right? Near the hull of the enemy ship. What's the purpose of the explosion, by the way? Sink it? No. Because you got to create a hole in the ship. Because if you don't create a hole or it's above the water line, what's going to happen? Let's see. It gets a little wet. Okay, so we need a hole. Let's get a hole. Now, once we get a hole, what's the purpose of the hole in the hull of the enemy ship? Let the water in, which does what? No, creates negative buoyancy, which does what? You guys are going, we got the hole, we got the water coming in. Oh, come on, where's my ship sink? You guys back there, come on, man. There you go. We got a sunk ship. Now, you laugh about that, and you're like, well, that's stupid. Okay, but let me relate it to our 6 steps. We have 6 very distinct steps. And what happens is people confuse some of the steps for the other steps, especially step 2. They're making contact, and what do they start doing? They make it the presentation. They start talking too much, saying too many things. They spook the client. You can't do that. Read every step says the purpose. Stick to that purpose. Follow that script because you're going to go mess up the system and you're not going to sink the ship. You're going to have a serious problem on your hands. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to real briefly touch on each step and just give a tip in each one. Not going to spend a lot of time. We're going to fly, okay, because we're short on time here. Prospecting, step 1. Who in here has ever told a recruit, go make your list? Prospect list. Raise your hand if you've done that. Everybody, right? Absolute wrong thing to do. Because what's that person going to do? They're going to pick and choose. They're going to procrastinate. They're going to rule people out because they're going to say, you know what? That guy makes too much money, or this guy doesn't make enough money. And they're going to come back with just a few names. What should you do in making that prospect list? Make it an adventure. Sit down with husband and wife together where possible. Why? Because she knows names he doesn't know and vice versa. And make it a game. And use our memory jogger sheet. Put blank sheets in front of them. Say, look, don't even bother right now with phone numbers and emails. Let's just get names. We're going to play a game. Who comes to your mind first, win. And just say something. And let them start. Don't stop until they stop writing. And if we have a contest, which one comes the most names? And they're going to go crazy, okay? I've sat down with couples before who told me they had no people to see. We did memory jogger, and we came up with about 700 names. And you'll look in the manual, it tells you how to do it. But make that and by the way, it's not only is it a good chance to get the list bigger, which helps you succeed, have more raw materials, it's a wonderful relationship building exercise. Because you're in their home, you're sharing a cup of coffee maybe or some food with them, you're getting the list done, there's some funny stuff that goes on because maybe old girlfriends come up on the prospect list or old boyfriends, and there's been some great times, but you're building that rapport with the couple. Do that one thing, and you will watch the number of prospect lists you have in warm markets will take off astronomically. Let's talk about step 2, the approach. The approach is where 90% of the failure takes place in this business. So it really does need the most attention. Let's go back to our submarine example. Back in World War II, what was the toughest shot in submarine warfare for a torpedo guy? Bow shot. They used to call it bow shot. What's it? Destroyer, actually, because what do destroyers do? They're to sink ships. They have a very narrow profile. So it was destroyer, bow on, bone in its teeth. What does that mean? It means it's coming at you. The water's coming out of you. So if you were a submarine in World War II and you looked up and you saw an enemy ship and this is what you saw, would this be a problem? Huge problem, because number 1, it's a destroyer. Number 2, it's bow on, bone in his teeth. Number 3, you're looking through the periscope so he can see you. You're a little shallow and he's coming after you. Would the captain look at the periscope at that moment and say, you know what? This would be a good learning moment for somebody. Let's do some training. Who's the least qualified seaman on the boat? They go, well, it's, so-and-so in the galley is washing dishes. Bring him up here. And they say, seaman, look through the scope. The guy's just, oh my gosh, he's shaking. He's heard about this, never seen it. Would the captain at that point say, you know what? You take care of that sub. We're going downstairs to get a sandwich. Let us know how it works out. Would he even consider that for a second? Are you sure? Guarantee he wouldn't, right? Okay? Because what would happen? He'd look through, he'd see that. Next thing you know, boom, there's no sandwiches, everybody dead. Okay? Have you ever told someone, go get someone to the next meeting? Uh-oh. Wrong thing to do. Why? You're taking the most difficult shot where 90% of the failure in business takes place, putting it in the least qualified person's hands. So what does he do? He looks through the scope. I'll get someone to the meeting, takes the shot, messes it up, explodes, and he's gone, and you wonder why he didn't come to the next meeting. Because he's laying on the bottom of the ocean, sunk. Because he's got his feelings hurt, it didn't go very well. And you wonder why you never see that guy ever again. It's because you, as the leader, gave the most difficult shot with no direction, no help. Pretty rough, but it's true. I know tons of guys have been lost in the business because no one ever gave them direction on contact. So what you want to do is 90% of the failures in the contact, luckily for us, there's only 2 reasons we fail. It's simple now. The first reason is what? They do it wrong. They say too much. They try to make step 2 the presentation. They start running on about living benefits and all this crazy stuff to scare the guy off. Some of you guys are going, oh God, I've done that. That's not good. Or they don't do it at all. They're so scared they just don't do it. Yeah, I'm calling people. They're just frightened. So how do we overcome this? They do it wrong or they don't do it. How do pilots become real good at flying in bad weather? Do they say, hey, look, there's a storm. Fly up in there and let's see how you do? They do that? No. They have flight simulators, right? Who has ever been in a real flight simulator like one of these? They're fun, aren't they? They're really cool. I helped chaperone a Boy Scout trip over here at Dobbins Air Force Base, and we got to do it. And I'd flown before, so I actually did okay. But when the kids tried to do it, you could actually get thrown from the seat if you're not buckled in. I mean, it is real. It's kind of cool. When you go in there, the windscreen even shows the airport, and there's the lighting. They do day, they can do night. The guy's got this little computer behind you here, and he can mess with you. The guy who got us on base is actually a hurricane pilot. And when it was his turn to land the plane, the guy behind him on the computer says, can I mess with you? And he's like, well, yeah. And you hear him like 2-3 minutes. I was flying the right seat. He's in the left seat. He's, all right, you ready? He goes, buckle your seatbelt tight. I pull it down, and all of a sudden, they hit go. And this thing, I mean, it was lightning and rain, and we're all over the place. And this thing's just, it was crazy. I thought we were going to die. It's like a bad movie, but you're really moving. It's fun, actually. So, and he asked him all these questions, about crosswind and where would the ceilings we could actually break through and actually see. And the ceiling was like 100 feet off the ground. I mean, it was really low. They really messed with him. When we break through, we're heading right to the control tower because the guy had taken the instrument landing system and just tweaked it over about 500 yards. And we're going to die. There's the hangars, and all of a sudden, smooth as silk, he just right down on. It was unbelievable. And I said, you didn't even flinch. He goes, I don't. I've been in the simulator so many hours, it's just second nature now. That was a huge lesson to me because then I realized that's what we need to do in our business. In the contact, we need to create a simulator, okay? So here is our Synergy simulator. Now, it's not as advanced as this because really all it is a 3-way phone call, okay? If you're doing the phone script, you get someone playing the leader, someone playing the new recruit, someone playing the prospect. You get those scripts we use for the call nights and that kind of stuff, and you practice. Who here's been to college? You spent 4 years learning all this stuff to get a job, right? Yeehaw. Go spend 2 or 3 hours drilling for skill with your leader on contact and become an expert in something that'll make you a millionaire, okay? And take turns. At first, be real nice. Don't give any questions. But then as they start getting good, get tough. Be the guy that wants to know more. They just start throwing the hard questions out. So pretty soon after you've done this for many, many hours, any objection comes, it's second nature. It's no big deal. You got this down. You become a master inviter. Imagine in your team right now. I thought back when I was building my team in WMA, back at that 6-month mark, I figured, man, our office had a lot of guys that are great inviters. Our meetings are big. This is great. So we did a drill for skill session. Now, back then we did it in our office. We did it in chairs back to back to back to kind of simulate a phone. And of the 100 people in that training session that night, guess how many I thought were like a B or better at contact? 2. Some of them said the most horrific things I've ever heard in my life. And now I knew why no one was coming to the meeting. I mean, I wouldn't have come to the meeting if they invited me like that. I don't even tell you what some of them said. It was awful. I was just shocked. But if you'll make sure as you come on, you drill for skill and create these simulators with brand new recruits so they get it down, where it's automatic. Because what happens is pretty soon they have what? The know-how to do it right and the confidence to go do it. And you've overcome the biggest problem you have in the business, which is the contact. I promise you, if you'll do that, the whole world will just change for you. Now, step 3, presentation. I'm going to do one slide on this, and this is it. This is it. Rubber hits the road. The more people you have at BPMs, the more money you make. Just the way it is. The bigger your team will be, that's our game time. If we were putting it back to pilots, if you're going to hire a personal pilot for your jet, would you hire the guy that's been a pilot for 25 years, member of all the groups, great guy, or the guy that's been 25 years and has 20,000 hours logged in an airplane? I want the hours. Well, that's what makes a pilot great, right? Well, here, you know what makes a leader great? How many hours they log in front of people giving our presentation, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's in a group setting, whether it's a citywide BPM, whether it's an online BPM, I do not care. We have 3 different types of meetings you'll see in the manual. It's logging hours, telling our story. It's all that matters. And then step 4, the follow-up. And this one's huge. And I'll be brief on this. You guys ever had a meeting end, whether it be online or live, and all of a sudden all your prospects just fly out the door like a bunch of birds? They're gone. Why is that? Because you ever walked up to a new guest and say, well, what'd you think? You guys ever heard this? You ever done it? Who's ever done it? Raise your hand. Be honest. As soon as you ask that question, what are you doing? You're putting him in the power position. Well, you know, it's okay, but let me do my research. I'll get back to you, blah, 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 blah. You can't do that. What does the manual say to do? You walk over. What the challenge at the end of the meeting was, get an appointment set with your leader in the next 24, 48 hours. You walk over, say, man, wasn't that great? Let's get your appointment set. And by the way, you got to drill for skill on this too. Just don't leave it to doubt. If the person says, yeah, sure, let's do it, what do? Take them over to your leader. This is Bob. He wants to set an appointment. Great. And let your leader handle it. You step back. See, I love the fact that a new guy, he's just got a master invitation script and this little follow-up. He's done. Okay? The leader does the rest of the work. Now, if the guy says, no, I don't want to set an appointment. I'm not interested. What do? What's the manual say to do? Anybody know? We got to read this manual, right? It's a real simple script. You go over and say, well, no. You say, what, wasn't that great? Let's get your appointment set. Well, I'm not really interested. No problem, but I promised Bob we'd say goodnight before we left, whoever the leader is, okay? Let's say Paul's the leader. I promised Paul we'd say goodnight before we left. Everyone here say, I promise. Okay, now you're not lying. You promised, okay? So you say, hey, no problem, but I promised Paul we'd say goodnight before we left. You're not going to say, I'm not going to say goodnight. So you go over, hey, Paul, this is Bob. I want to make sure he said goodnight before we left. What's that to sign to Paul? Help! Help! Paul takes over. Paul reaches out his hand. Paul says, hey, wasn't that great? Let's get your appointment set. And the guy says, well, what exactly was it? Anyway, your leader then knows how. And you'll see some overcoming objections in the manual how to overcome that. But it works real great. I'm going to tell a quick story, and I hate to do this because I was trying to keep track on time. But I remember when Rich Thawley did a big training session for us years ago about the system, and he really nailed us about this one. He goes, you got to do it exactly like that every time. And so our guys made a commitment that we were going to run the pure system exactly to the core, none of our personality stuff, we're going to know it all out. And I had a hard time with this one because I'm the type of person at the meeting end, the guy says, am I interested? I say, no problem. We got to get in your home, see if your husband and wife would be interested in the client. We just saw, I was like, no, we're going to do what Rich said. This one thing, I don't know why it was, I was 20-something years old, it bugged me. It seemed a little abrupt, but it really wasn't. So we had our first BPM after Rich did the training. And there was a guy in the audience, and his name was Dirk. Okay, I saw his name tag. He was about 6'8". He looked like a logger mass murderer combination, okay? I mean, he was scary. I mean, he was a really spooky looking dude. He was huge. He was like mountain of a man. And he sat in about the third row, and the whole time I'm giving the presentation, he's like this. Like he wanted to eat my children. No, I mean, it was bad. And I was like, oh, wow. So I'm giving the presentation, trying not to even look at him. He was so bad. He was like an energy sucker right there in the audience, And I'm giving the presentation, and it ends, and so everyone, does their little thing when it ends. Hey, wasn't that great? Back there was let's get your kit. We had a little different thing we did, and to get your appointment set. And all of a sudden, I see Tim, I never forget Tim invited him, because these names will always stick in my head because it scared me to death. And I see him coming my way with Dirk. And Tim's so cocky because he knew I had the problem with this. And he says, John, this is Dirk. I want to make sure he said goodnight before we left. In my mind, I'm going, oh, no. Now, understand, I'm standing on a riser in our office. Dirk is still taller than me, standing on the floor. And so I remember putting out my hand. I say, Dirk, it's good to have you out tonight. Let's go. Did you get a kit? That's why we did a little different back then. He's like, no. Like, why would I buy your dirty, slimy kit? I mean, that's at least my impression I got from the way he said no. Goofy thoughts, right? I love the goofy thought thing. And what we were trying to do, we just said, well, why not? Emmanuel says, well, why not? And I'm waiting to get hit. And I remember, before I even said why not, I'm looking behind him, and everyone's leaning in. All my leaders like, is he going to do it? Is this funny? I can't wait to hear if he's going to do it or not. And so I go, why not? Thinking if I'm going to get hit, I'm going to get hit from my leaders, and they're going to respect that at least I took the hit, right? It's going to be ugly, it'll be bloody. They probably won't kill me. They'll jump on him. I'll be all right. But why not? And he just goes, well, and he just started to melt. He really did. And I didn't even say him. I still had his hand. He's just going, because he had no answer. And he got louder. He's like, and everyone behind there high-fiving each other. And I'm like, this is cool. This thing works, man. I like this. And he goes, I'm just not interested. And he like almost mumbled it and almost had the lisp he talks about. Now I'm really cocky at this point. I said, well, was it the part about making lots of money or saving lots of money that bugged you? And he's, because he had no answer. And I said, well, tell you what we'll do. You have a wife? Yeah. Let's give your wife a gift. Oh, yeah, definitely. And we closed the sale with him. It became a great deal. But that day I was like, man, this thing works if you just trust it. That was not my personality. I hated it. I resisted it. But I did it, and it worked. Had that same trust. It works. Fast start is the next slide. Fast start, real quick, I'm going to talk about this when Jeff asked me to go. The fast start interview, make sure you're doing the interview with every single person. It sets everything up, the strong leadership, the things they got to do right away, the 4 things. If they push back, you'll see all this in the manual. You know what to do. But the main thing in the manual I love is this question number 10 about the fast start program. In the fast start program, if your team's not exploiting like you want it to be, it's the one thing you got to go do. You've seen these 5x5 logos on our shirts. It's over here. And we have it on some hats we gave out last night. Real quick, I'll talk about 5x5, and I'll go as fast as possible here. In growing a business, you can have linear growth, or you can have geometric growth. Which one do you want? Geometric. Linear is recruiting like 3 or 4 this month, 3 or 4 next month. That's boring. You want to go 3 or 4 this month, 10, 12 next month, 25, 30 the next month, 78 the next month. That's how you get big. I've seen it happen all the time. But here's the cool part about growth, is it becomes kind of magical. Let's say you had a chance to get 2 job offers next 30 days. Job 1 was going to go out there and pay you $100,000 a day for 30 days. That's $3 million. That's a lot of money. Job 2 is going to pay you a penny on the first day. We double it to 2 pennies in the second day and double it every day for 30 days. Which is better? Now, there's a trick here, but originally you think it's got to be the 100 grand, right? Before you know multiples, okay? But let's look at it. Let's look at it real quick. There we go. Here's the first 10 days. You got your penny on day 1. Day 2, you got 2 pennies. At the end of 10 days, you get paid $5.12 for a total of $10. You've been paid $1 million on the other side. Which job's better? We know where this is going, but it's kind of fascinating. And Jeff talked about how the snowball effect last night. At the end of 20 days, you get paid $5,200, a total of $10,000. $2 million on the other side. Look what happens the next 10 days. It takes off. You're paid $5.3 million day 30 for a total of $10.7 million instead of the 3. It's the compound effect. And that's what you want to have in your business, right, Randy? Definitely you want to have that compounding effect. Well, the only way to have real geometric growth is to orchestrate it. It's just not something that happens. You got to make it happen. And the 5x5 is your way to do it because it all starts with your next new recruit and every new recruit thereafter. I call this a scenario disaster. It's a new one for us. You take a new recruit. We want to train them. Get them licensed, they can go sell a product. How many guys have got a guy on board, you get his hiring pack in, like, let's get you in 40-hour class, get your training sales done, so you can make sales when you get licensed. That's a scenario disaster, by the way. We're all guilty. We all did it at least once, twice. Some of us done it way more than that, okay? What you got to look at, and this is a good example. Here's the duck. This is the leader. There's the baby ducks. These are the new recruits. They're going to follow mother duck, right? They're following her along. Everything's cool, thinking she's got this thing handled. And all of a sudden, looks around, baby duck's gone, okay? Now, they did open the grate, I heard. There was a humanitarian story here, and they got the baby ducks out. But one of them made it across. But you don't want to have that happen in your business, recruit a lot of people, and turn around, they're all gone. But really, if a guy or gal gets licensed, and they can make sales, there's not really any reason to hang around if they have a bad day. If the wife has an argument with them, or the husband tells them they can't do this, or somebody quits, they got nothing to lose. And they're not in the best position to win. What you got to remember is, what was it that intrigued them at the BPM about the company? It wasn't, product was cool, leadership was cool, all this stuff was cool, but the one thing that got them was the compensation slides, where they saw if they went out there and recruited just 5 people, did a couple sales, and they got 5, you're making almost $500,000 a year? That's what they want, right? So you want Michael, right? Exactly. Well, if that's what intrigues them, then that's what we got to focus on, especially for the first little few weeks they're in the business. So let's look at the scenario of success. Take the new recruit, we're going to surround them with people and surround their people with people. And we do this program called the 5x5. We sit down in the interview and say, look, we're in a sense building your company within a company. Who are the 10 to 12 people you want on your board of directors? And you asterisk their names in their prospect list. And say, okay, our goal then is to get at least 5 to 6 of these people in business with you in the first 2 to 3 weeks. And if we don't do that, I consider these first few weeks a failure, or worst case, a very slow start. Fair enough? Great. Because they want to build a team. That's what they saw on the presentation. They want to get that done. So let's focus on what they want to get done. So you go out there, then you drill for skill. On step 2, the contact, teach them how to go out there and do it, do the simulator, get them all ready to do that for the purpose of what? Not making sales, but getting at least 5 people in the business within the first 2 or 3 weeks. Now, what do you guess we're going to do with those 5 recruits when we get them in the business? The exact same thing. It's a system, right? So if you get 5 under them, help them get 5 each, that's 25. Help them get 5, what is that, 125? Help them get 5, that's 625. No, it would always work like this? No. You might get 3 or 4 or 5, but you can real quickly see how the team can grow. Would you rather have a guy licensed and trained at the end of 30 days, or licensed, trained, and have about 100 people under him, or 50 people under him, or 75? Where he can start overriding and actually enjoy an override. Let me ask you a question about this person now, this new recruit. Do you think they're going to get trained? Oh my gosh, they're going to have more sales take place in their team from all these recruits. And they'll be better trained than the guy who's just going after sales. Will this person get licensed? Are you kidding me? Absolutely they will. Will they quit? Why? Fear of loss motivates more than hope for gain. They got something to lose. One of those guys on the team might be the next Todd Walker, the next Todd Bengolfi, the next Myra Durham. You just never know. They're not going anywhere, and you've put them in the best position to win. And by the way, if they do still quit, you protected yourself. Why? Because those 5 now become direct to you. Now, you hope they don't quit. You don't want them to. You're there to build leaders. But you've got to orchestrate this to help every person have the best chance to win and to get geometric growth taking place within your team. And you keep driving every new recruit. It's just 5 by 5. You think it, you breathe it, you eat it. It's all you think about. And great things will happen. 5 by 5. Drill it. Wear it on your shirt. Put it in your car. Put it in your goals. You just got to make sure you go out there and wear that thing out. Last slide. I challenge you to become a master duplicator of our system. Learn it, study it, learn people that are doing it, but then a master replicator where you can then replicate that out to other people. The speed and exactness with which you copy and execute the system will in large part determine your success, and this exactness must be duplicated throughout your team. That's what we do. We're in the leadership factory business. Study that manual. Take serious notes in this session. Realize what you got your hands on. I remember my original mentor went to his accountant when he first got to 7 figures. He explained to him how this business worked. And the accountant says, you got a money machine. And that's what this really is. It's a money machine that helps not only you make a lot of money, helps your leaders make money, and in the process, the byproduct is tons of families getting their financial house in order. That is a win-win-win. if you run the system. I'll conclude with this and I'll be done. You can't guarantee anyone's success here, right? There's no guaranteed success. But there's 3 things that if you'll do, I promise you, you'll have success, because I know in 29 years, I've never seen anyone do all these 3 things that hasn't gone on to make a major 6 or 7-figure income. The first one is you got to follow the system exactly. The pure system, don't tweak it, don't put your personality into it, okay? Number 2, you got to work hard. It takes hours and time, but I promise you this, you'll be underpaid for the first few little while to be overpaid for the rest of your life. And the third thing is you got to be a good, honest person. You got to treat your leaders with honesty and integrity, and you got to treat your clients with honesty. And do what's right for people 100% of the time, because right is right, right? Okay. If I've seen people do 2 of those 3 things. They'll go out there and they'll run the system and they'll work hard, but they'll be a bad person. And they might do okay or fail usually. I've seen people go out there and run a system, be great, but they just don't work real hard. They kind of sit back and they're a professional meeting attender. They don't win. People go out there and they work hard, people are right, but they don't run the system because they can put their personality into it. They don't win. Do all 3 and you will win. And you do the system right now at this fertile time we have in Synergy, you will change your family history forever. So together, let's make it happen. Hey, thank you guys very much for your time.